The world, especially today, feels like a ticking time bomb thanks to the hubris of mankind. Despite decades-old efforts to globally de-escalate, there's a loaded gun placed directly on us all in the form of nuclear Armageddon, and all it takes is a few wrong moves over time to inch humanity towards global catastrophe in a deadly race to the end. John Badham's 1983 film War Games is a techno-thriller that is both quaint and prophetic, centering around buzzing, ticking, and beeping 1980s technology that may spell the end of mankind. The film revels in modems and two-color displays, but more importantly carries the classic and contemporary warning that the same technology can be man's undoing. The film follows high school student David Lightman, played by Matthew Broderick, who has a talent for hacking into his school computer, local library, and other systems throughout the Pacific Northwestern United States. But while trying to hack into a computer system to play unreleased video games, he unwittingly taps into NORAD's war computer, Whopper, and initiates a confrontation of global proportions. Together with his love interest, played by Ali Sheedy, and an apathetic computer genius, played by John Wood, David must race against time to outwit his opponent and prevent a nuclear Armageddon. War Games begins in an American nuclear missile silo where two operators are tested with carrying out orders that could lead to the nuclear destruction of nations, leading one man to shoot another. War Games quickly establishes its narrative query: should cold calculated machines perform the duties of emotionally driven humans for such damning tasks? Revolving around that question, the plot throws its protagonists in harm's way as he cracks the computer system that could set off World War III. The narrative is instantly engaging and employs a hearty focus on both thrills and themes. The accuracy of War Games' implications is thanks to the extensive research the writers had conducted, including interviewing Willis Ware, who wrote a 1967 paper called Security and Privacy on Computer Systems and for years headed the Computer Science Department of the RAND Corporation, an Air Force-funded think tank. War Games was the first mass-consumed visual representation of dial-up remote computer access, and it served as both a vehicle and framework for America's earliest discussion of the technology. In the wake of the film, major news media focused on the potential for the War Games scenario to exist in reality. This focus contributed to the creation of the first U.S. federal internet policy, the Counterfeit Access Device and Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1984. President Ronald Reagan even watched the film and discussed the plot with members of Congress, his advisors, and Joint Chiefs of Staff. Reagan's interest in the film is credited with leading the enactment of NSDD 145, the first presidential directive on computer security. Reagan's casual inquiry set off the first of many efforts by the intelligence establishment to figure out a way to bolster America's defensive and offensive cyber capabilities. In addition to capturing the zeitgeist of the moment, it also tapped into the elemental fears that date back to our cave painting days, the dual threats of annihilation and extinction. Integral to the United States system of defense and key to the story's accelerating plot, the Defcon system was developed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Unified and Specified Combatant Commands. It prescribes 5 graduated states of alert for the U.S. military, increasing in severity from Defcon 5, the least severe, to Defcon 1, the most severe, to match varying military situations. In the 21st century, during the September 11th attacks, the Defcon level was increased to 3, and standby was also issued for a possible increase to Defcon 2. It was lowered back to Defcon 4 on September 14th after the threat was better understood. Since the invention of nuclear weapons, only 4 countries have ever given them up: Belarus, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and South Africa. The first 3 countries inherited thousands of nuclear weapons from the former Soviet Union and later agreed to give them up to Russia or destroy them and not to pursue such arms thereafter. Although their decision was voluntary, there were concerns at the time that the countries were unable to handle the weapons properly. The second summit between President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in February of 2019 in Hanoi failed to produce an agreement on denuclearization and peace roadmap despite heightened expectations. U.S. policy on North Korea is grounded in the aim of deterring Pyongyang from starting another war and using a nuclear weapon. After the regime acquired nuclear weapons capability, the policy evolved to denuclearization. Despite repeated attempts to stop and roll back Pyongyang's nuclear weapons program, the North's capabilities have over long term continued to advance as the Kim regime has taken advantage of what is seen as America's strategic weakness, a democratic system lacking policy continuity and beset with gaps in historical memory among officials due to political and seasonal rotations of personnel. The 3 preceding administrations, Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama, tried and failed to denuclearize North Korea. Since the 1990s, the ultimate goal of denuclearization has always been eliminating all nuclear weapons capability globally. Interim goals have always been and should continue to be limiting and reducing these capabilities. War Games received generally positive reviews, and years later still holds a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was also nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including Best Cinematography, Sound, and Writing. Even as decades have passed, the film has cemented itself in one of the most influential Cold War-era films, appealing to a demographic of adults and teenagers. This punctuates the dividing line of impulse between man and machine, preserving a time when every move made could result in the landmine of consequences, forever changing the world as we know it. War Games brings to light the importance of denuclearization as it removes the threat of ultimately ending the world. The final scene in particular, where Joshua learns of the concept of futility in real time, is an excellent example of the efficiency of the film. It delivers the kind of satisfying payoff that can only be earned by weaving story, character, and theme into a cohesive whole on screen. A cautionary quote before we end today's episode from the other side of the Cold War. A program of disarmament, while imperialist antagonism survives, is the most pernicious of fictions. Even if it were realized by way of general agreement, an obviously fantastic assumption, that would by no means prevent a new war. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. We also have a playlist if you want to catch up on the episodes or want to share an episode with a friend. We're just shy of 500 subscribers, and we're so thankful for each and every one of you. You folks give us the energy to keep making these essays and sharing these semi-forgotten gems with you all. We'll see you next time.